There is an island in the Mediterranean where the air smells of sea, earth, and myrtle. This island is Sardinia. In the south of Sardinia, in the province of Cagliari, the breezes are full of the smell of jasmine and mastic trees, and flamingos dance lightly on pond waters, and the clear sky colors the sea with blue. Here, nature, history, and tradition lovers find impressive proof of the past in infinite varieties of colors, sounds, smells, and tastes. The island's long-lived and ancient populations for centuries has kept a natural heritage of unchanged majesty with knowledge and dedication. Cagliari is the island's main city overlooking the sea and is the ideal place to begin our discovery trip of southern Sardinia. The capital city of Cagliari is a political, historic, and artistic junction that holds complex traits found throughout the island. A place where ancient Nuragic population lived, colonized by waves of people and civilizations. Cagliari was dominated by Phoenician, Punic, Roman and Byzantine, Genoa and Pisa, Catalan and Spanish, Piedmont, and finally Italian populations. Cagliari's Castello Borough, with its chalky white stone walls, played a part of this history. Here, in Cagliari's Archaeological Museum, exhibits from the island are preserved, including the Neolithic funeral trousseau and shiny vases decorated simply and soberly. Mother Goddess sculptures have been preserved and are also on display. The other remains tell a story of a mysterious period in the history of Sardinia, which is the Nuraghi civilization. This period began around 1600 BC during the Bronze Age and continued into that of the Iron Age. The bronze statues, called bronzetti in Sardinia, are expressions of ancient and mysterious pagan religion representing the history and chronicles of daily life 3,500 years ago. These ex voto statues are mainly from cult areas representing men of war, oranti archers, and warriors with lances and shields. There are also statues of sea boats with their bull or deer prows. These statues are used as signals to indicate cult places and are proof of sea people who were very developed and gave the Sardinians an important role in trade during this age. Cagliari is also a place of authentic and passionate traditions. The St. Ephesio Church sits between the tight streets of Stampach district and is keeper of the most felt religious tradition of Cagliari, which is the devotion to a war martyr that died on the island in 303 after Christ. In 1652, the people prayed to him while crippled with the plague. The disease ended miraculously, and the people showed their gratitude and devotion with a day to honor him. And since then, it has become tradition to carry his statue in a long procession through the town of Cagliari. The procession is animated by traditional sumptuous and solemn costumes representing the various villages. These costumes are multicolored, rich and stark, and are accompanied by the archaic sounds of the launedas, which are panpipe instruments in this grand Sardinian festival. Another procession of importance to the people of Cagliari is that of Cristo Morto, originating in the 600s, where the rituals of Passion and Death of Christ are deeply marked by Spanish religiousness. This procession is particularly suggestive and takes place on Good Friday in the early afternoon along the historic districts with the devoted, while singing ancient polyphonic songs. Cagliari is a magnificent sea city with its port, fisherman's village, and the Poeto beach surmounted by the imperious Devil's Saddle. Standing on Cagliari's shoulder is the Molentagius Pond, worldly famous for its pink flamingos, and is an ideal habitat for egrets, pierrefaucets, and many other bird species. The coast lies over a 10-kilometer span, including the Gulf of Quartu. Quartu was originally an agricultural area, and over time was transformed into the third largest town of Sardinia. However, Quartu Sant'Elena has kept its agricultural roots, and along the historical roads one can still capture the smells and flavors of fresh baked bread and typical sweets. Natural pearls of Quartu are Cala Regina, Mari Pintau, Cale Moro, with heavenly inlets that make them stand out. Proceeding along the southeastern coast, Torre delle Stelle and Solanas are united with the immaculate white sand and various tones of green and blue sea. Sublime visions follow us to Villasimios, where granite reefs covered with Mediterranean vegetation exalting the color of the water, transparent ocean floors, and the candid beaches and creeks for which the coast is abundant. To the west lies the Gulf of Carbonara, and to the east is a long arch of the Simios beach enclosing a circle of fascinating and great nature value, including the protected marine area. Facing Villasimios is the island of Cavoli, which is dominated by the lighthouse and unforgettable excursions. Beyond Villasimios is a multitude of incomparable views of the sea. Cerebus, the furthest southeastern tip of Sardinia, holds some of the most famous touristic attractions of the island and is animated both day and night. Costa Re, among the many immense beaches of pure white sand, is surrounded by an infinite array of shades of turquoise. Beyond Costa Re lies the extraordinary complex of the Seven Brother Mountains. One of the island's best preserved Paleozoic forests, where rigid and unruffled typical Mediterranean vegetation grows among holm and cork oaks. The rough slopes and rocky peaks with wild gorges and walls of overhanging rock contribute to create a timeless atmosphere. Sounds of Sardinian deer that seek refuge from the intense poaching activities can be heard from afar. As well as the sounds of wild boars, martens, and wildcats. Remaining in the southeast, we also find the area of Gerre, where important intact archaeological findings have been found from an even older culture called the Neolithic, which dates back to several thousand years ago. In the midst of a cork tree forest lays the megalithic necropolis of Pranomutedu in the village of Goni. Dug in the rocks are epogeic burial mortuary houses surrounded by rock circles depicting prehistoric and ancestral rituals celebrated by the fertility cults linked to the earth. This religious sanctuary is miraculously similar to those found in other areas of the world when the human era was still very young. The sacred function of the area is witnessed by the abundance of menhir. In fact, more than 60 sculptures of human resemblance are arranged in single or concentric forms. The areas of Gerre, Tregente and Sarcidano are joined to form the artificial basin of Mulargia. There is room on the water surface for various sports such as canoeing, fishing, and boat excursions. The Medio Flumendosa Lake is perfect for lake scenery lovers. A welcome breeze, peace and quiet reign among the beaten earth of centuries. We have now arrived at Oroli, worldly famous for the longevity of its inhabitants. Just a few steps from the town center is the fascinating vision of the Arubio Nuraghe. This archaeological treasure dates back to the 13th century BC and is unique of its kind for its pentagon form containing a center and 5 surrounding towers integrated with a high-walled citadel. We can reach the village of Sarali in the characteristic train ride aboard the Trenino Verde, extending to Arbatax with fantastic scenery. The hospitality of the inhabitants is united with the beauty of the caves and incomparable historic center. This is the heart of the southernmost Barbagia, which takes its name from the small mountainous center, Siaulo, where breathtaking panoramic visions of particularly high reliefs linked to Gennargentu and basins dug by the continuous flow of the Flumendosa Lake. The curious visitors of Sarcidano will find a small piece of earth with virtues of its main center called Isili. Dominated by the Nuragic complex of the Isparas, the city is renowned for its carpets and copper metalworks, and its territory is marked by a constant, significant Nuragic presence. At the top of the Seri Plateau is the extraordinary remains of the St. Victoria Nuragic Sanctuary. The complexity of these rocky formations unleashed the appetites of free climbers who have become tradition to Sarcidano. Making our way back to Cagliari through Cesenta, the green expanses of Partiola are rich in vineyards and olive trees. The unmistakable fragrances of the Campidano are carried throughout the center, small or big. San Sperata is an agricultural village known for its excellent production of peaches, and in the 60s it became famous for its muralist artworks. Murals are enormous paintings on the sides of houses depicting rural life in the fields and the relationship of man with earth in community life. In the fields of Sestu, we find the San Gemiliano sanctuary built in the 12th century in Roman Gothic style, where the saint was executed in 125 after Christ. Each year, the spacious arcades welcome pilgrims to the festival held in his honor. Keeping in mind the beautiful images of Cagliari's east coast, it's time to move on to new images and emotions offered on the west. Sand as soft as powder and sea with shades of blue that dominate the island. Between Cape Teolada and Cape Malfatano, nature concedes more voluptuous visions. Here we are in Teolada, known for its minute, sunny stretches of sand. The view of the Gulf from the panoramic route is a breathtaking 20-kilometer stretch from Port Budella to Chia, where the inlets look like sapphires and emeralds wedged in a precious treasure chest, where the magical beach of Torreda offers a close yet exotic corner of the world. Proceeding along the coast, the enchanting nature of powdered sand and green waters of Chia, part of Domus de Maria, is an obligatory stop for the Southern Island visitors. The old mule tracks smell of mastic and juniper trees and slowly reveal the beaches of Campana, Suggiureo, and Cala Cipolla, and is a view that overlooks the entire bay. Its deep sea floor and chromatic shades play on the waves make this a unique Mediterranean view, while wind shapes wild dunes that attract surfer lovers. Leaving Chia behind in the Pula area, here we find the renowned sunbathing area of Santa Margarita, which is protected from the winds and full of inlets. A bit further on is Nora, an authentic jewel where the sea and beach are joined with the archaeological area. The visible aspect of the ruins refer to the Roman and late Roman period, even though the city was most likely founded by the Phoenicians at the end of the 13th century BC in a Punic area of great splendor. From the Roman era, we can still see the paved roads and areas dedicated to the cult and colored mosaic flooring, together with the ruins of the residential district on the sea and other magnificent villas with characteristic entrances held by 4 columns. Finally, we see the almost intact splendid amphitheater on the sea, where concerts and theatrical shows are held during summer nights.